It gives me great pleasure to welcome to Australian musician from Southern California's premier Rush tribute band Moodlifters, guitarist Ben King and singer Rocky Kuner. How are you guys going?
Doing great. Thank you
Good.
for having us. We're excited about this.
Yeah.
My
Great.
pleasure. It's so
Sorry.
so great to speak to you ahead of your Australian tour this August, which is not only your first time in Australia, but it's the first time ever that the music of Rush has been played on professional Australian stages. Of course, Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, the late great Neil Peart never toured Australia as a group. So for many Australian fans, myself included, this will be the first time we've ever had to the first chance we've ever had to hear this incredible music played live. So my first question is, how are you guys feeling, and how are you preparing for this run of shows?
Start with Rocky.
Oh, okay. Well, mentally preparing, probably just, logistically figuring out where we're going, when we're leaving, time-wise, sets, we're rehearsing a lot, just talking about, what we're gonna do, planning our shows as best as we can to put on the best performance that we can for you guys, in each city. And I'm already getting ready to, work every day, 3-hour shows. So I'm, mentally preparing for that and physically preparing, making sure I have like warm-ups and, taking care of my voice, vocal rest, whatever. But yeah, I mean, we're just excited though. Pretty much.
Yeah, we're super excited. We actually with that point you mentioned about Rush not having toured Australia, we that's not a fact that's just known to Australia. I mean, it's any Rush fan knows that Australia was neglected and we when we got the opportunity to come over there, we thought it was just a wonderful idea because we put a lot of seriousness into getting these shows right and having them be accurate and sound like Rush. And so when you talk about preparation, for us it's a long set. It's going to be a grueling run for us across 5 cities in 6 days. So we're preparing ourselves. We're preparing the show to make sure the show goes right and the show sounds right. Um, as we also deal with the logistics and so forth. We've got a set list fixed and we're rehearsing that. It includes the press releases of State of the Entire Moving Pictures album, a lot of really great stuff there. We're very excited to play, including the full 18-minute Hemispheres piece. So we are, just getting ourselves prepared to do the best show we can. For me, technically, it means, getting all my guitar sounds in a way where I can bring them to Australia. I can't necessarily have all the same equipment that I would use over here. So I'm doing a lot of preparation in terms of finding ways to bring my sound to Australia and still not be kicked off a plane. So
Now, sounds good. Yeah. Speaking of the set list, I have asked a lot of my friends in the small but dedicated prog community if they had any questions, and a lot of them just seemed to be variations on the same theme, which was like, well, we're obviously very excited to hear these classic tunes from, I guess, the classic period from, I guess, 76 to 81. But the big question is, are you going to be going beyond that and doing anything from like Signals, Grace Under Pressure, and going forward?
well, we one of the things we pride ourselves on is hitting all the eras of Rush. And Isamu Kakatani, our bassist and keyboardist, is a master at capturing those synth era sounds. And I actually it's not a secret, so I can say, but I just have been working a lot on mixing our recording of Grand Designs that will be releasing this fall for the Songs for Neil 5 album. And it's incredibly complex from a keyboard standpoint. And the fact that he pulled it off the way he pulled it off is so exciting to me. But we've played that song live quite a bit. I can tell you that without giving all the spoilers away and telling a whole set list, we definitely touched significantly on the synth era as well as the early Rush, the guitar, bass, and drums of the first few albums and the middle phases. We love it all, and so we have really put a lot of thought into this set list to have a nice balance between those various eras.
That's great to hear. Yeah, like I'm surprised whenever I meet fans how often stuff like Power Windows and even Hold Your Fire and even Roll the Bones come up as like as kind of favorites. So and I guess because there's no such thing as like a core Rush hits catalog down here, it all just kind of blends into each other. So we've just kind of just carried on with each, and they're one of those rare bands that just kept upping the ante with every record and every era, and refusing to stay complacent. And that's probably why they have such a dedicated fan base all over the world. So let's go back to your beginnings as musicians. We'll start with Ben and then Rocky. I guess what got you into playing music in the first place?
Alex Lifeson. I mean, to be honest with you, I was, I was a huge music fan since I was, as soon as I could put a record on the turntable, I was into the rock and roll thing. I started with bands like, Journey in Kansas. And, I must admit that before that, I was into a lot of things that, are not so rock and roll. And just, I mean, if you really want to get into it, my Australian connection was going to see Grease and seeing Olivia Newton-John with John Travolta, and just, falling in love with her, and that whole, her voice was amazing. And so I listened to a lot of different things, but when I was in high school and I discovered Rush, that was like, oh my God, everything changed for me. And that's when I had to have a guitar. And so I picked up an acoustic that had been sitting around the house, and I thought, I have to play this, and so literally, my entire music life, I learned guitar while learning Rush at the same time. So it's been there the whole time. And I played these songs since I was 15 years old. And so that's why it was just sort of a natural that I would end up in a Rush tribute band at some point in my life. Rocky, how about you?
Well, I started singing before I could talk, really. So my parents put me in piano classes and just little things to get me started, getting out of my shell. I did theater for a long time. And then that really got me a lot more confident performing in front of people. And then I did acting for a while. I picked up instruments around 9. That's when I started really taking serious like vocal lessons. And I've had the same vocal teacher my whole life, Greg DeCastro. Just shout him out because he's amazing. And he taught me how to teach. So now I'm a teacher, and basically, got into singing. And then I went to an art school and for high school, OSHA. And then I learned a bunch more instruments, and I learned rock music more, like actually singing it, like Zeppelin and stuff. And then that's what kind of led me to getting into the Rush category of singing and performing and stuff. And I've just been doing the Rush tribute for like 8 years or something like that. Almost 8 years or 8 years. I don't know. I'm not great at math, but I think it's around that time. So yeah, basically just been doing this my whole life, and it's what I love to do, and I teach it, and it's and I'm going to Australia to do it, which is amazing. I never thought I'd ever go. So I'm so excited.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, I go back to your days, Rocky, with Why Not, and the 3 records that you made there, and some just hearing your stamp on those songs as well was really what made me want to kind of reach out and in sort of a way try and get this kind of thing happening. So what kind of led you to joining Why Not? And then were you living in Florida and then moved to California, or?
No, so I've always been in California. OSHA was the connect here. So I went to school with some people, and their dad was friends with Billy, and he was like, hey, my friend is looking for a vocalist to do like some Rush covers online. Like, I know you can do it. You sing Zeppelin. Like, I know you can crush this. Like, do you want his number? Like, he's interested in having you do it. So I met him. We did Hemispheres. That was the first song I ever learned. to, to actually do. I mean, I listened to Rush when I was younger also because my dad and my uncles like love Rush, and I've been to like 2 shows, I think, in my life. Thankfully I've been to something, like, and they were amazing. I was like mind blown. But yeah, so that was the first song I did with Billy, and then after that, it was just like, "Hey, let's just keep doing this." And then it turned into like, "Hey, I have originals. Do you want to sing them?" And then we just started, making albums and then touring. And then that's when I went to Florida, and basically it just grew from there. And then now I'm here, and it's great. And yeah, we made 3 albums, and I'm very proud of them. So awesome.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's great to see that like that music will still kind of live on as well. So the press release, I guess, states that you strive for a faithful and accurate reproduction of the music. So, Ben, how are you going about that in terms of gear?
Oh, in terms of gear, well, you know, technology is coming along very fast in the guitar world. It's been sort of revolutionary in the last year. There's been modeling technology that has never quite lived up to what tube amps do. And you're a guitarist yourself, Joshua, so you know that there's tube amps, and then there's modeling, and it hasn't quite been the same thing. And in the last year or so, some of these AI infused modeling options, it has definitely taken a jump forward. So I have been working on that. I've been riding that train for the last year, and I'm now confident that I'll be able to use modeling. And maybe I should drop a plug for something I'm not endorsing, but using the IK Multimedia Tonex platform, I can clone my own amps and clone my own sounds and have them with me on the road without bringing the amps. So it sounds amazing. And so I've been working with that to hone it and perfect it. But I'm very confident that when I set foot on Australian soil, I'm coming with my sounds without the large gear behind me. Now, visually, it's nice to have a lot of big amps behind you, but um, we'll figure that out on the flow. But as far as the sounds, I'm very confident that I'm going to have a great sound. I also dipped in and switched effects devices with looking forward to this particular tour. Something that would give me a little more flexibility. So I ditched some of my old gear, and now using something that's a little more recent, the Boss GT1000, which is just phenomenal in terms of effects options. So I'm down the gear rabbit hole trying to get all my sounds to the place where I'm hearing Rush in my head, so that everybody else hears Rush in their heads when we play these songs.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to hearing the sounds come through the speakers. I've been to the venue in Melbourne, Max Watts. I've been there quite a few times now, and every time the sound's been fantastic. So looking forward to
Really
yeah,
Looking
yeah.
forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do you guys go about rehearsing as a group? And how I guess go from like the early rehearsals to maybe playing the first gigs, and now I imagine it's at a point where you kind of just rehearse on your own and then get together for the gigs.
Hey, Rocky, did you want to talk a little about that one?
Sure. I mean, yeah, pretty much. We just do our homework, and then we get together and we run through the set, and whatever songs we're having a hard time with, we just go over more than the others a little bit, and we work through any kinks that there are, if there's any. But usually everybody pretty much does their homework really well, and we just talk about certain things we could maybe do to help each other on stage if we need extra like guidance, or like, hey, can you give me a heads up about this part, or look at me for this or whatever. And we just stay connected, and we just, again, like, do our homework, just study it really well. And I think like loving it really helps us because we already love the music, so it's easy to study it. you know
Mm.
and we're kind of nerdy about it, so it kind of helps get the exact sounds that we want, and um get the exact parts or whatever. We're just geeky about it. It's awesome.
We have a rehearsal studio we use that is a nice stage setup, and so we are able to rehearse there, and we at least try to do it once, have a full rehearsal before each show. We'll obviously do more for getting ready for a long show like this in Australia. We're putting extra work into that one. But on the homework side, my obsession is I always feel like if I pick the hardest songs on the set list and I just really, really rehearse those, and I don't pay attention to, say, Tom Sawyer, or something else, I find that then I'll go make a mistake in the songs that I think I know really well, but I just maybe haven't played as much. So early on, I got into a habit of creating a backtrack playlist of an entire show, just about for every show. And I don't favor one song. I just play what I call run throughs, and I run through the whole show for a couple of weeks at least before the show. I like doing it, so it's fun for me. I'll sit there at night and just play the whole show through, so that by the time I get on stage, sometimes it's weird, I can actually zone out, and I'm like feeling like I'm in my rehearsal room playing another run through, and then I always go, oh, wait a minute, this is the show. But yeah, it's like, it's a sort of like an out of body experience of like, just for a quick second, you start to feel like you're just doing another one of those run throughs. And but it does keep me from favoring one song over another, and I'm less likely to have a lapse there.
I do the same thing, Ben. I also make a playlist on Spotify and I just let it play in order, and I just practice in the car while I'm driving, just to, like, when you're on stage, you're kind of already kind of zoned out a little bit. So it's perfect practice when you're just, in your zone, or, multitasking or whatever, so you can muscle memory, like, remember your parts, because it's hard stuff. So yeah.
And one thing I found is that the reason I like to do these run throughs, when we're doing a show and I'm on stage, I want to enjoy the crowd. I want to enjoy the venue, the atmosphere. And when things are a little bit more automatic, I have more freedom to pay attention to what's going on around me, instead of just thinking about the next chord or the next riff or what number on my effects unit I should step on. If those things are happening a little bit more automatically, I can actually sit back and enjoy the crowd and the whole atmosphere of it. So that's something that I think where it pays off to do that as well.
With the amount of preparation, everything you've done, and you've done all these live shows around California, what's the response been from fans, from Rush fans, and people in and all over the world who've seen the videos as well on YouTube?
Oh, well, the videos have been done very well. I mean, we are very pleased with what we've been able to put out. We've got a good setup for recording our shows, and we have the capability of editing the videos pretty well. So we do those videos because we really do want to share the Rush music with as many people that want to see. A lot of people miss seeing live Rush. Some people never got to see live Rush. Obviously, in Australia, it's going to be the case for a lot of people that'll be there at the show. We have had really positive energy and comments around this entire band, and we named it Mood Lifters because that's exactly what we wanted to do. And besides, it's a line and vital sign. So we wanted to be an upbeat, positive band, and that has come through, I think, not only on our videos, but in the culture around our band, in the culture of the band members amongst ourselves. We are really great friends. We get along tremendously well. So it's like a little family now. And so that's really it. I mean, it's been a positive vibe. They've been well received, and we feel lucky for that, for sure.
So you're kind of, the press release has said that you're going to do moving pictures all the way through, which is kind of a no-brainer. Was that an easy decision for you guys to make when you looked at like which songs you wanted to do?
Yeah, well, so many of those songs are sort of on the, you can't dare play a show without playing them. Obviously Tom Sawyer, but you've got Limelight, Red Barchetta. I mean, it's just got, as we put it together, we're like, when you're doing a 3-hour show, you're pretty much going to hit most of that album. But we wanted to do it the way Rush had done it on their in their I believe it was the Time Machine tour, when they played it after the break. They came out and played the entire Moving Pictures album. We wanted to deliver that experience because it was a special experience when they did it, and that album just resonates with so many people that it seemed like the right album to choose. I will say that like we have juxtaposed our set list a little bit from its initial iteration because we realized it wasn't as varied as we wanted it to be. And in that regard, it was funny because I got a message from our drummer, Matt, who said, hey, you know, if we're going to play the entire Hemispheres album, why don't we play it in order? And I was like, I go, no, we're playing the entire Moving Pictures album. I don't know what you're talking about. And then I looked at the set list, and sure enough, we had everything from Hemispheres on that set list, just in different spots because they all seemed like important things we wanted to play. So we juggled that a little. We want a little more album variety since we're already playing all of Moving Pictures. So I'm not promising everybody the entire Hemispheres album, but that was just one of those funny moments.
There are some people who want Xanadu. I know that much, but I'm sure we'll be happy with what you get, especially since you seem to have been doing these long sets over there. Like I've seen advertisements for stuff where it is like 3 1-hour sets, which sounds absolutely brutal.
It's brutally wonderful.
It goes by faster than you think, you know. Sometimes you're up there and you're like, it's been 3 hours? I didn't even feel it, you know. So sometimes it's just fun.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you spoke a little bit about the logistics and going early. So do you have, I think you've got like 1 day off between like Brisbane and Sydney. Are you going to just use that day as like a recovery day, or try and get out and get some fresh air?
Rocky?
Well, we don't know yet. I don't know. That's a great question. To be continued, I guess. We'll update you on that. We'll just message you and be like, hey, so today on our day off, this is what we did, and we'll just give you a rundown. And
I can tell you, like, well, actually, the funny thing is, the day off is August 22, and we'll presumably be in Sydney. It's my birthday that day as well.
Right.
And my sister is planning on coming over for see a couple of shows, including Sydney. So she'll be in town in Sydney on that day. So I'll spend my birthday, probably hang out with my sister. I know I'll probably be a little tired, but
maybe we'll just all get birthday dinner with Ben. That'll be at least.
We wanted a
just
chance
sit on the Sydney Harbour and have the picturesque background, and that'll tick that off the bucket list and get on to the rest.
We wanted to enjoy the country a little bit, and even though it's going to be a little hectic with all the other shows, I personally will be soaking up every bit of the experience that I can, because I've never been to Australia and I always wanted to go. So
I just want to hold a koala. That's all I want to do.
You got anything on that?
Thank you for saying koala and not koala bear, because that's a common misconception as well. Because they're from the marsupial family, so bears don't climb trees. So I think there is the Lone Pine Sanctuary in Brisbane where a lot of musicians find themselves on their day off. So if there's ever going to be a place, that's probably the place to do it.
Thank you.
We'll probably spend the morning.
So if you get to Brisbane early,
they're my favorite animals. So
beautiful. No, I really hope to get to. And so all I can say is thank you guys so much for agreeing to do this and giving us this opportunity, this chance. And we're really looking forward to the shows. And a bunch of my mates and I are looking at doing like a pre-show gathering, kind of a little mini RushCon as well, because there's a pub like right down the road from the venue. And we always make a big deal when stuff like this happens. So it's so thank you guys so much, and we can't wait to see you here.
Well, thank you. We're so excited.
Thank you. That's wonderful, and we can't wait. And we're just, Rocky said it. We're just so excited, and we're looking forward to bringing it. It's going to be fun.